What's going on, everybody? Kyle Wally here, back again. Today I'm going to do a part 2 or follow-up video to joining the Army as prior service. I know it's been a couple years, but I had a bunch of comments and I'm still getting questions on it and stuff like that. And if y'all have never seen the videos or never seen my channels in general, I was in the reserves for a few years, got out, ended up going active duty, had RE code 3, so had to get a waiver. And I kind of talked about how to go through that process. So if you're prior service now and looking at going back into the military or maybe switching branches, jump back to that first video. I'm going to go through all the questions, guys. If you are new to the channel, then please give me a like, comment, subscribe, ask questions. It takes me a while. Sometimes life gets crazy to get to them, but I will try to get to them. So stay tuned. All right, so I have a few of y'all's comments sitting here, and I read through a couple of them. So I'm gonna hit on a few here, and if there's more questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll answer them as they come. Because I ain't gonna be able to hit every single question, or we'll have an hour-long video. I had a couple people asking about coming in as a disabled vet. In my unit, there was probably 2 or 3 guys that had been reserves, had been active duty and got out, etc., that had VA ratings and came back into the military. Now, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote this because you need to ask your people. But from what I was told, their rating kind of paused and they didn't get their VA pay. They chose active duty pay. And then I think when they get out, maybe they pick that rating back up. Don't quote me on that. I know there's going to be the VA guys in the comments drilling me. I'm not a VA guy. Age waivers. I have saw people come into the military at 30 plus years old. There's a guy here that said 45. I'm not sure if your prior service, maybe you had some good time or some rank or something, they would take you back. From my understanding, it's a case by case basis. You know what I mean? You got to look at the military like this. It's a huge business, and there's thousands of people. So what do you bring to the table? Are you a 45-year-old just chilling and you want to send it? Not hating, but are you a 45-year-old that was in for 18, you need a couple to retire, and maybe you have an MOS that they're hurting for? Stuff like that. It's case by case. So, hey, ask questions, man. It don't hurt to try. I got fortunate. I didn't have to do basic all over again. From my understanding, if you've been out 5 years or more, you are required to do basic training unless the chain of command writes a waiver for you or something of the nature. I got lucky. I was at 4 years and some change or something. I wouldn't have cared. I would have redone it anyway. Any way to get a bonus? Don't let me lie about the bonuses, because I think I asked about a bonus and I think they told me no. But I'll be honest, at that point in my life, I didn't have a very cash money GT score. I had a 90. So I mean, nothing special. I did get to choose my duty station. Now, I know you have enlistment options. I chose maybe option 3, where I chose to go to Fort Carson, but I retained my old MOS. So at first, I was going to change MOSs. That was my intentions when I went to MEPS. I went to MEPS, they named off of listing MOSs. There was a couple of them I liked on there. And then my old MOS happened to be one he named off. And that just made me kind of ask some questions to myself in the background. And I asked him, hey, if I take my old MOS, can I pick where I go? And it's yes to an extent. They'll get a list of where you can and can't go. I wanted Bragg or Liberty, and it was closed. I wanted Campbell, and it was closed. So I ended up picking Carson. And maybe they told me that I couldn't go outside of the continent of the United States, or outside of the United States for that first enlistment. Is an 11 Bravo an option for any prior service personnel? That's coming from the USMC vet. I'm almost positive that anybody could get an infantry slot. No offense to the infantry. It really depends on how bad they're hurting in the MOS right now, but if I'm not mistaken, I think they always take infantry. There's a couple of the VA comments on here, guys. Like I said, I know people in the military with VA ratings, so I would go look into it. Now, I'll give you this advice, too. Don't go in and go hurt yourself more than need be. If you feel like you've served your country and you did good and you hurt yourself, sometimes you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. Do you have to retake the ASVAB? No, but you can retake the ASVAB. kicker is when you retake the ASVAB, you keep your most recent score. So if you had a 110 GT score and you want to retake it for whatever reason, and you get a 20, you got a 20 GT score. The PCS, okay, that's a good one. We'll touch on that one real quick. I don't want to keep this super long. This is the most important part. Here's the most important part. We'll say it like this. Take all the proper documents that your recruiter asks you for when he asks you for them. Don't wait 2-3 weeks, a month, and let him forget about it or work with a new recruit and get tied up. If he says he needs X, Y, and Z, go get X, Y, and Z and get them back to him. And MEPS will go smooth for you. MEPS is MEPS. Y'all know about it. The PCS. So when it was time for me to leave, I had my orders in hand. It was time for me to leave Montgomery, Alabama, and head to Fort Carson, Colorado. They gave me my orders. I rented a U-Haul, packed everything up, and I left. I paid out of pocket to go. So if you don't have money to go, reach out to family or somebody that could help you out, because they didn't give me anything coming back to go. They reimbursed it on the back end. Now let's get into that. They reimbursed my mileage. They reimbursed the hotel for the days allotted. They reimbursed a certain amount of meals, and they paid me for my weight. If y'all know about the dislocation allowance and TLA and stuff of that nature, coming from the reserves to active duty, you do not get the dislocation allowance. So don't sit here and figure a number in your head for an extra $3,000 or $4,000 with dislocation allowance, because you're not going to get it coming into active duty. All right, so that's it, man. Y'all go to MEPS. You know how to go through MEPS. Do your thing. You're going to show up to your new duty station. You'll in process. If you are in a financial bind, like we were just talking about, when you get to your duty station, in process and ask them for a BAH allowance. They'll usually give you an advance on your BAH, which will buy you a little bit of time and maybe help you find a place and get squared away a little bit. Best advice is to try to prepare ahead of time, put you up a little bit of money so you can stay ahead when you go. All right. Let me go through one more time. I'm going to pause it so I'm not just sitting here reading and see if I can get any little straggler questions. All right, so I see a couple more questions pertaining to ASVAB scores and waivers and stuff like that. Best advice for the ASVAB is to look up BSEP prep, like Army BSEP prep, and really study that. Study your arithmetic, reasoning, word knowledge, stuff of that nature. And really focus on that, because that's what the GT score is kind of compiled of. So you really want to focus on that. And don't stress yourself out. Take some practice tests. And if you see on your practice test your word knowledge is the worst thing you're studying, and you're doing really good in arithmetic, probably don't study arithmetic. Probably study word knowledge. You know what I mean? Just saying. Stuff like that. It goes a long way. Don't overthink stuff, because it's easy to stress this stuff out, stress yourself out. It is a stressful process, but, look, you want to end up bald at 27? Just saying. I've been there, guys. I've stressed myself out going through some of this stuff, so, study. Study. Take your time. Don't rush. Don't go in there and freak out and panic and click answers. It's okay. If you fail, go back to the drawing board. See what see what your low point was and study that. All right. Now, look, I'm not gonna be able to sit here and answer every single question, but I want y'all, if you have ones that I haven't hit, just you comment and let me know, and I'll be looking for them and I'll try to answer them. So let me give you a little more background of what's went on the past few years since y'all heard from me and my process and what it's looked like. Like I said, let's backtrack for a second for the people who don't know me. I was in the reserves. I got out of the reserves, came back active duty. All right. So I chose Fort Carson. I'm a former 91 Bravo. Get to Carson, ended up in 4ID. Got a great unit, great group of guys. In process the unit, met everybody, and look, y'all, I had to start over as a PV2 again. That's a story for a different video, and we'll talk about it. But I saw a couple questions about getting promoted. Listen, don't show up and act like you know everything. Be humble. If I was a mechanic, right? If you're a knowledgeable mechanic, don't show up and tell them that you know everything and try to be a big arrogant asshole, because if you can't vouch for it, you're going to look stupid. And you could end up getting yourself overworked, But luckily, I had a great group of guys, great group of officers, NCOs, and warrants. Get to the unit. We were coming up. Find out as soon as I get to the unit that we're kind of coming up on a deployment fairly soon. So we start preparing for that. We deploy, go overseas, or go on a rotation. Went to Europe, went to several countries over there. That was a great time, y'all. And my whole time back, I started college back, and that's another thing, y'all. Utilize your TA, stuff of that nature. Go to school. Don't just sit around and idle. If you're a single soldier chilling in the barracks and you're not doing nothing, bro, go to school. If you're a married soldier chilling at the house playing Xbox every night, go to school. You know what I mean? Do that. It's free money. It's there to help you, and it'll help you when you get out of the military. So at Carson, find out we're about to deploy, motivated, doing a little schoolwork online, go overseas, continue doing my schoolwork. And I had a grandfather that was a warrant officer, and it always kind of, I wanted to go be a warrant, and it motivated me to look into it and stuff of that nature. And I've always wanted to be a pilot. So that was something I started pursuing right there, was becoming a flight warrant. Started talking to my warrant officers, started looking for letters of recommendation, how to put the packet together, etc. This is all over the span of a 9-month deployment. Toward the end of deployment, I get all my ducks in a row. My plan is to get back to Carson, do X, Y, and Z, drop my warrant officer packet. Well, long story short, we get back to Carson. Well, I started getting sick toward the end of deployment. Some weird bowel stuff, Not your typical, Sarn, I have a bellyache. Like, I had some real issues going on. Get back from deployment, find out I have Crohn's disease. So the warrant officer thing kind of went out the window because I find out that I'm facing a med board. And anyway, long story short, I went through the med board process. I got medically retired, and I know what that process looks like as well, going through the med board, going through the IDES and that process with the VA and stuff of that nature. So if y'all have there's going to be more questions pertaining that type of stuff. I'd be more than happy to help. But there's so many videos on here that I ain't just going to go make a 2-hour long, this is my story video. But like I said, I was prior service, came active duty, did the active duty thing, had a great time, got a bad diagnosis, went through a whole new process, and I learned a whole different side of the Army that I never thought about. And you learn about your VA disability benefits, you learn about your VA schooling benefits, stuff of that nature. So if y'all have any questions pertaining that, if y'all have any questions pertaining Fort Carson, Poland, Germany, stuff like that, y'all feel free to drop comments. And any of my old 4ID people on here, y'all drop a comment. And y'all be sure to, y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Help me out. And I appreciate y'all being patient. I'm not a full-time YouTuber by no means, so I know the formatting of this video is probably not the most ideal thing, but I read through the comments, and that was the common comments I was seeing. So if I missed anything, y'all let me know. And I appreciate it, guys. Peace.